there were instincts that could not ever be denied. Sure, demons looked human, although taller and tanner than average, but they were considered extraordinarily attractive when in human circles. Elijah knew this was because the elemental and animal genetics within them allowed for heightened pheromones that called out to the opposite sex, a predatory sense of awareness that exuded attractive danger, and the extraordinary eyes behind which settled extraordinary cunning and intelligence. All the qualities of natural-born hunters, always seething just beneath the surface, waiting for someone to make themselves prey. Demons were capable of behaviors as untamed as the elements they claimed their great powers from, behaviors they had embraced and integrated into every skill they cultivated in their long lifetimes, making them formidable opponents to those who managed to get on their distant bad sides. Thus, even the most juvenile of fledglings could have avoided his current predicament, the warrior thought crossly to himself. So to be caught like this, like a weakling mouse in a trap, was shameful and enraging. How had the act of doing his duty suddenly turned on him? He was the warrior captain, the stalker of all nightwalkers with a price on their head, those who were not of the demon race who had committed egregious acts and sins against the demon people, a direct challenge and insult to the demon king. He was the specialist in all those species, an anthropological strategist. If anyone wanted to know the true ways of how to destroy vampires, lycanthropes, and most every other nightwalker species, Elijah would be the best source of information. War and peace were, unfortunately, transient things, and it was his duty to be prepared for all possibilities, in case friends became enemies, or enemies threatened friends. Elijah fought off a passing cloak of dimming consciousness and the spinning of his immediate surroundings. It was he alone who belonged at the head of his monarch's armies when needed, and he who must train the spies and assassins who would slink through the cloaking shadows in the face of threatening intrigue. Therefore, he knew everything anyone could currently discover about the humans who dabbled in the perverse arts of black magic, the same kind who stood around him that very moment, circling him like vultures awaiting the end to a victim's final death throes. The use of this corrupt power turned these foolish human men and women into necromancers, staining their souls with the inky dye of evil, and embedding a stench so foul into their flesh that no nightwalker with a clean soul could bear to breathe the odor of it. They were powerful, capable of growing even more so the more they studied and practiced their vile arts, but they were not powerful enough to capture him, never mind kill him. No, only his stupidity could have provided that opportunity to them. He must have looked like a holiday turkey breaking through the tree line and stepping into their trap, necromancers all around, as well as the human hunters who spent time chasing down myths so they could torture and kill them. Mortals who took it upon themselves to not only uncover the existence and locations of the hidden Nightwalker races, but made it their personal quest to eradicate them from the planet, armed with little more than myth, legend, and ignorance. Demons were one of the least exposed Nightwalkers in human mythos, but species like the vampires and the lycanthropes were not so lucky. Stories of them abounded, whether accurate or not, titillating the avid hunter into stalking them, looking for proof and personal vindication, occasionally getting lucky in their bloodthirsty quests. For the hunter, it was a victory, a mental trophy. Mental only. The body of a dead Nightwalker would often look very different from that of a murdered human being, so it was not exactly one of those treasures a hunter could mount on his wall and tell stories about. At least, not to anyone outside of his own secret society of deranged heroes. It was becoming far too common an occurrence lately, finding the ashes of vampires left staked in the sun, lycanthropes shot and stabbed with the silver weapons that poisoned them, and even demons impaled by weapons made of scorching, disfiguring iron. That was, of course, when the demons were not instead being summoned into the mutilating destruction of the necromancer's tainted pentagram traps. Murder upon senseless murder, and between these two groups of humans, the list of victims would go on. It was a painful betrayal. Demons had always held human mortals in such precious esteem, much in the way a parent protects its young, developing child. They and the other civilized Nightwalkers fiercely protected these humans, perhaps instinctively knowing that though they were not empowered themselves, left to grow and develop, they might someday become so. It would be a beautiful evolution to watch in the centuries to come.